Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moment Unplugged podcast, a space of holistic growth, impactful and safe conversation, embracing every moment of our lives because we know the author. Cheers to sharing joy, peace, and love, and embracing your story. My name is Mandisa Singwane. Thank you for clicking play and tuning in today. I appreciate you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. I hope this one is also going to be a good one, and I really hope you've been enjoying the past few episodes. We are on episode 3, and a funny story, the episode that I'm recording right now was actually supposed to be episode number 2. I then only decided to change the topic for episode 2 because in that particular week when I recorded that episode, the conversation or sort of topic that was on my heart and my mind and something I was experiencing within that week was obviously more related to honoring your commitment, and hence why the switch happened. And so now today's topic is living everything in its season. And I already know some of you know which verse I'm going to quote here. And yes, if you're thinking about it, it definitely is the one that you're thinking of. I hope we're on the same wavelength. But yes, so this is something that for me has been on my heart and mind, and I've also been experiencing it a lot, in particular this week and past few weeks really. And so I will lead with the verse and then we'll get into the conversation. Alrighty, so I'm reading from the NLT version. The verse is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. You can really read from verse 1 all the way until verse 8, but for this particular episode, I'm just going to quote verse 1. Please read it for context so you understand it a bit better. But verse 1 goes a bit like this. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. So, now to get into the crux of this episode, I'm going to lead by saying I myself am still trying to get a hold on this, and it's something I'm also currently maneuvering. I'm not a professional and I am just having this conversation with you guys so that we can grow and learn together, right? And so I'm going to lead by saying I've now been trying to allow myself to embrace seasons. And I know I spoke about this in a previous episode in season 1. But I do believe I didn't do justice to the entire topic of seasons. And so hence I'm adding on today. And so what's come out for me within this sort of, I don't want to say era, but this... I'm about to say season, which means I'm just going to say season this entire episode. But within this learning or discovery or chapter of my life, I have started to allow myself to give every season the space and the time to unfold. And this becomes more difficult in other seasons than others, obviously, because some seasons are easier to embrace than others, depending on how they come across to you and how they're affecting you and your everyday and your being, essentially. But what's helped me a lot is understanding that if it's a very tough season, that particular season is a season, and that's what it is. It's not a be all and end all. It's a season. And as soon as I allowed myself to recognize that, listen, it might be tough right now, I might not know whether I'm coming or going, I do understand that it's not my forever. And look, I've only tried to understand it now. I think in the past, over the past few years, when something tough was happening, it was tough, okay? Like there was no end. It would make me want to just stop, like freeze and just, why are we even trying type of thing. But I think when you hold on to the hope that you have and the faith that you have, that because God has reassured us that it's a season, and there is a season for everything under heaven, then you begin to understand that even if this time is tough, just wait it out. And it will be fine. And I said to one of my friends the one day that I'm holding on to the fact that I know it will be fine. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know it will. And I know in hindsight, I will look back and be like, oh girl, you were so hard on yourself, or you took that too deep. And it's fine. If right now it is that deep, it's fine. I know in hindsight I might beat myself up and be like, girl, it wasn't that serious. But as soon as I'm able to recognize that it's a season and what the season feels like for me and what it means to me, I think I allow myself the grace to then maneuver through the season, and allow the season to unfold as it should. I do also believe that as soon as I'm very resistant to believing or embracing the season for what it is, it makes it that much tougher. And I believe resistance makes everything a bit heavier. And so that's why I've allowed myself to learn to just embrace it. Whether I like it or not, the fact of the matter is it's not changing right now. And so I'm either going to learn to live through it or learn to let it cripple me. And so that's the decision some of us always have to make, or all of us have to make, really, within the different seasons. And there are great seasons. We must recognize that too. And so even in the great seasons, it becomes so important to embrace that too, because we also have a very weird habit, of letting ourselves feel so guilty for having a good season. Not even just guilty, but wanting to believe that it's going to end. And yes, it will. It's fine. But allow yourself to embrace that one too. Don't hold on to the fact that it's just a season when you're having a good time, when everything is going well, when you're filled with joy, when you're happy. Allow yourself to just be happy. God has carried you through so many of your bad seasons previously, and he will carry you even through the ones that are still coming. And even in this good season, he's still carrying you and he's restoring you. And so embrace that season. All right, so I'm going to share something that's a bit personal to me and why I have this topic really on my heart and my mind. So over the past few years, I've been in leadership. For as long as I can remember, I've been in leadership in many structures, in many various positions within teams and executives. I'll give context. So I've been a chairperson at church while I was serving in the youth ministry. I've been the head girl of my high school in matric. I have been a treasurer in varsity for another executive committee. And so you can see I've kind of explored. I think I've been a secretary for something as well. But I've explored leadership quite a lot. And so for me, the season of leadership was big. It was long. I think maybe let me say for about more than 5 years, I was in leadership every year consecutively straight. And then this year, I tried to apply for another leadership position. And I just couldn't get myself to. I prayed upon it and I was just like, you know what? I don't really know. Like, I know I'm capable of being in this position and leading in that executive committee and so on and so forth. But it just wasn't in me to do it again. And after praying about it so many times and having a few conversations with some of my close friends, I then quickly realized that actually the season of leadership for me it's done. I don't know, it's not done forever. I am still leading in my own way, in different ways, even if it's just not within a structure, or it's not, I don't have a badge and a blazer on the traditional way. I'm just leading in my own thing. But in terms of leading in a structure and leading a group of people or with a team, that season for me has ended this year in 2024. Will it come back? I don't know. Stay tuned. But right now, I realize that if I were to have taken that position or if I had to apply for leadership, it wouldn't be as intentional as I would like it to be. And so I had to be very honest with myself that I've explored a lot of leadership positions and it is time for me to move on. I'm not an expert. I'm not 100% in leadership. I can't say I'm the best of the best you'll ever find. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I've grown and I've taken so much from it. And now it's time for me to apply it somewhere else. And so until I was able to recognize that, then I was able to tap into my new season. When I understood that my part in leadership and my season in leadership right now in that format had come to an end, I am now allowing myself to be obedient to the season that is in front of me and allow it to fulfill its purpose. And I think sometimes these things really take you being really intentional and honest with self. Like I said, I knew I was very much capable to be a leader again. It's not that I had no reason not to apply, besides the fact that I had to be really honest with myself and say, is this the season for me again? And after that conversation and after prayer and conversation with people around me, I then realized that, you know what I'm doing here is not growing me anymore. There's space for me to grow somewhere else. And hence, this season has come. I don't really know what the season is, but I know I'll be able to tell you in a few months or years. But right now, I'm really embracing just the unknown and this season by just being obedient. I don't really know what even tomorrow holds or next week holds within the season for me. But what I do know is that it's going to be big. It's going to be a God thing. And it needs me to be obedient and to be very intentional and to stay connected to God about it, through it. And so I believe that something that is also really important to highlight when speaking about embracing a season is the idea of stewarding a season very well. And that could look it looks very different for everyone in their various seasons. But stewarding it well for me is being intentional, like I've already said, being obedient, listening to God and what He's saying so that your outcome is exactly the same as what His idea or His plan is. Because unfortunately, when you tap out from the source, which is God, things might start to clash. And so when you steward it well and you're very intentional about speaking to God about it constantly and hearing from Him and what He's saying, it allows you to succeed within that season, and hence you steward it well, you carry it forward very well, and it does so much more for those around you and the community and your community and even the community at large, to be honest, and for yourself. When you steward well, I believe you also become fulfilled, because it's like a well-oiled machine in the end. So yeah, in the same breath, if you're going to embrace it, make sure you steward it well, so that the outcome is great, and is the best possible outcome that can be achieved for yourself and the kingdom. And so yes, that's my little episode today. I tried to keep it short and sweet, not too packed and overloaded, but I hope you've begun to understand, or it started a conversation within you and maybe with you and some friends, about the seasons that you're in and how intentional you are about them and how you can become more intentional about them. And also I really hope that it's given someone who's in a tough season the hope and the faith to know that it will get better. There is a season for everything under heaven. And so give yourself the time and the space to embrace this season, because another one is coming. And so allow yourself to live this one in its time and its season. And so that when the next one comes, you allow yourself to embrace it in that time and in its own season. But yes, that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys. And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening in today. I hope this episode was beneficial and enjoyable. Don't forget to leave a rating and a comment. Until next time, have a great and productive week. Check in soon.